Hi everyone, welcome back to another week on my YouTube channel. My name is Brandy. I am the owner and artist behind Brush by Brandy, and this week we have a special treat. I am going to introduce you guys to the new Surf Prep vacuum. So Surf Prep is my sanding system that I use, and they've been working on coming up with a high quality vacuum that's compatible with their sander for a while now, and we finally have it. So I have one, and we're going to go straight from unboxing. I'm going to take it out of the box, we're going to put together, and you'll be able to see all the features of this. And then I'd like to also compare it to my old sander that I've been using for the last several years. So this is the Surf Prep vacuum. I pop this open inside the box. I'm going to pull out, this is our instructions here. It's got a hose connector, so I'm going to hang on to this. There also is a QR code where you can go and watch a video from Surf Prep on putting this together and some of the features of the Surf Prep vacuum. So I'm going to pull this out of the box. This is the main unit itself. And we pull it out of the plastic wrap. So a few features of this unit are, on the very top, it has a place for your Surf Prep toolbox to sit. This clip will flip up and it will clip your toolbox to the top. I do not have a Surf Prep toolbox. I'm gonna have to get one because it would be so nice to just be able to have your box on the top and you can set your sander in there as you're using it. So in this bag here, this is going to be my filter. All right, so my vacuum came with several filters. These are the bags, and you never want to operate your Surf Prep vacuum without one of these. They've got a nice plastic cap on them. We'll hook this up, and then it's got a little lid so you can keep the dust all contained in there. And I'm going to save these. I've got 4 extras, so there's a total of 5, and these will get saved inside my bag. All right, from straight out of the box, I need to go ahead and attach my back wheel, so let's go ahead and flip our machine onto its top. And these will just snap right into place on the back of the vacuum. All right, that was a nice easy snap in, and then this front is going to have caster wheels. So let's go ahead and open up our vacuum. The vacuum's just going to open with 2 clips on the side, and they just pull out from the body, and then it's going to slide down a little bit. There's one on each side, and then that lid will lift right off the vacuum. So it's going to ship with your hose inside of the vacuum itself, and then all my connectors and my front caster wheels are inside this bag. So let's start off by getting those caster wheels put onto the front, and then we'll get our hose hooked up. Our locking casters, so I can lock my wheels into place if I want my vacuum to not go anywhere. But let's go ahead and put our filter on the inside. So I'm going to take this, and this hole here is going to seat right over this nozzle. And then it's got 2 tabs on the side that I can pull that right in over that nozzle. And that sits really nicely. And then I'm just going to tuck my bag inside of my vacuum. Okay, once that is in place, I can go ahead and put the top back on. And then this is going to attach again with just those clips on the side. And 2. All right, so with this, I've got my cord. I can go ahead and plug my vacuum in. So I've got a nice 3-prong cord here. I'm going to plug this into my outlet. And now my vacuum is connected. So let's go ahead and hook up the hose system. All right, now that I've taken my wheels out, I've got this bag of connectors here. So let's go ahead and hook up my vacuum hose. So I'm going to take, and what's nice about this hose connector is it has a spinning internal mechanism. And this means that my hose is going to swivel. This is going to go right inside of this plastic piece here, and then this will screw on to one side of my hose. All right, now that I've got my hose completely attached, this will go right inside of my vacuum port. And then you can see how that hose will swivel right from the vacuum port. So now I've got the extra hose here that came with my vacuum, and I want to attach it to the hose that's on the end of my Surf Prep sander. So this is my existing hose, this is my new vacuum hose. I'm going to use my connector for these, and I'm going to screw on. This comes apart into 2 sections, so I'll take that section off. One section is going to go onto this hose. Let me get this extra piece of plastic off. This will go onto the edge of my sander hose. And then these just clip together. And this is my breakaway edge. So if I pull on my sander too tough, these are going to break away. And it's going to do that instead of breaking either of the ports to my hoses or putting too much pressure on my hose. It will just break away at that connection. Now that I've got all my hose hooked up, I need to connect my sander and plug it into the vacuum itself. So it's got a plug port right here, and I'm going to plug my vacuum into there, my sander into the vacuum. The reason I want to do this is because this has an automatic on-off feature, and your sander being plugged directly into the vacuum is how it's going to read that your sander is engaged. So I'm going to turn my vacuum on just so you can hear it. The 3 settings on it, it's got off, it's got a manual setting and an automatic. I'm going to turn it to the manual setting, which is going to turn the vacuum on. So that lets you hear how nice and quiet that vacuum is. And now I'm going to put it to the automatic setting, and it's not going to engage. My sander is on. I'm going to turn the button on my sander. I'm going to push it till it goes to the green light. And now my sander is ready to use. When I engage my sander, listen to my vacuum. It has about a 30-second delay from the time that I let go of my sander to when my vacuum actually shuts off. It's going to run for about 30 seconds different. That is an automatic on-off feature, which is going to be amazing. It means you don't have to go back over to your vacuum and turn it on and turn it off. Every time you need to use it, all you have to do is engage your sander, and it's going to automatically turn your vacuum on and off. The sander does make a sort of a, I'm going to compare it to, it's almost a burping sound. And that is your sander adjusting to the filter every few seconds. So you're going to hear it making that sound. That is part of the function of the vacuum itself. All right, let's take the vacuum and look on the underside for the filter. So the first thing I want to do is make sure my sander is unplugged, and then I'm going to unplug my vacuum also. You want to make sure it's unplugged for safety. This is a wet dry vac, so it can be used for wet sanding as well. It's got this little antenna here, and when you put this into the vacuum, you want to make sure that it's not being blocked by your filter. So just make sure that's hanging down along the side and not being stifled by the filter inside. These 2 filters here, you can turn these keys, and these come off for replacement and cleaning. And these will just pop out of this basin and can be cleaned and replaced. The vacuum itself has an 8-gallon capacity. These are HEPA filters with 99.9% filtration. And then these will just clip back in. Once those are clipped in, I can put this back, make sure that my antenna is in the right place. And what that is meant to do, that little antenna is meant to detect when you have water in your basin, and it will turn the vacuum off if the water gets too high. You want to make sure that's able to function inside. I can clip this back down, and my vacuum is ready to use. So I wanted to do a little side-by-side comparison between my new vacuum and my old vacuum so we can see the difference. So what I'm going to do to compare my 2 vacuums is I'm going to put a little bit of just baking flour on my floor to simulate a little bit of sanding dust. And I'm going to make 2 rows of it. One of these rows we're going to suck up using my existing DeWalt vacuum, and one we're going to suck up using my new Surf Prep vacuum. And we'll see how they compare to each other. So since I have it already hooked up, let's start off with my Surf Prep vacuum. I've plugged my sander back in. I'm going to turn this on, plug my Surf Prep sander back in, and I've set my vacuum to automatic. I have just a paper on my sander and my pad saver, and now we're going to try to vacuum up one of these piles. So I'm going to go ahead and depress my Surf Prep sander to turn this on, and let's see how this works. Wow, you guys. There is not a speck of that flour left. It sucked it up in about 10 seconds. My Surf Prep turned off from the automatic function, and so that is off now. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up my sander to my other vacuum, and we'll try that one next. Okay, I hooked up my Surf Prep sander to my old DeWalt vacuum. You can see this has been well loved. I've gotten a couple years out of this one. It's been a nice vacuum to have. I want to point out before I turn it on that this is much louder than the new vacuum. So you're going to notice that, and for that reason I have a muffler that I attached to it to try to muffle some of the sound from this vacuum. So I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to vacuum some of this flour off of the floor using my old vacuum. Okay, the dust removal on this Surf Prep is all around impressive on the sander itself. It's made for dust removal. However, that took probably twice as long as it did using the new vacuum. It still got the job done, it just took a little bit longer to suck all of that flour off of my floor. So overall, dust removal, you're gonna get there, but it's not gonna remove it as quickly. So I found the suction on the new vacuum to be a lot more effective. So my old DeWalt vacuum, it's been a good ride. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. All right, you guys, I'm super excited to get hooked up and start using my new Surf Prep vacuum. This is gonna be a staple in my workplace. It's all new and shiny now. In a couple weeks, it's gonna look like it belongs in a workspace, and that means it's doing its job. So you guys, if you're interested, check out the Surf Prep vacuum. I'll leave a link to this in the description for the post. Overall, I'm thrilled to have it. It's going to be a beautiful addition to my workspace along with my Surf Prep sanding system. Eventually, Surf Prep is going to be adding a nozzle so that you can connect two Surf Prep sanders to the vacuum at the same time, which is something I'm extremely excited about because it means I'm going to be able to use my 5-inch random orbital also. With that dual port, it'll mean I can have both of my sanders hooked up to my my vacuum at the same time, and then I can just pick up one or the other with the automatic on-off feature and be able to use them on demand. So I think that double port feature is going to be really exciting. As soon as that comes, I will let you guys know. Again, thank you to Surf Prep. Check out this vacuum.